Hello, we are back, and that's right. You can hear my voice, so I am actually around. Whatever's gone on in the last 20 minutes was it's not a message that I approve of. Obviously,
All right,
as you see on episode title, obviously today we are talking about "Take Care." So that's Drake's, quote unquote, maybe classic album, and we're going to talk today about whether it lives up to that 10 years on, and some just general thoughts on how the album's aged, some kind of highs and lows of the album, and then also kind of looking at it in terms of his discography as a whole. Bit of background, I guess, to the album. Came out obviously 10 years ago. Drake doesn't really need much of an introduction. If you don't know who he is, then wait for a couple of minutes and for a couple of weeks, and he will probably be at the top of your Spotify Wrapped as your top artist. And he wouldn't even know.
Did you see that thing? Right, it was like a TikTok where this girl said, whilst her boyfriend was out,
I saw that.
Yeah,
that's horrible. That would ruin my year.
Yeah, that was insane. So yeah, if you guys don't know, like she was playing like Drake songs whilst her guy was like away on like the Nest or something like that. So like by the time it gets to the end of the year, Drake will be the guy's #1 artist. And obviously the assumption is that the guy is not a big fan of Drake. So that's pretty funny.
Imagine that, like, because Spotify Wrapped, for people that are big into music, that's up there in terms of like events.
That's kind of ridiculous though if you're not catching on, because even when you do play stuff on your Nest, it will say like recently played or jump back in, and you're like, why the fuck am I keep getting recommended all this Drake shit?
Yeah, like top artist this month, Drake.
Yeah, like I mean, surely you'll be picking up on that anyways, but it was still funny regardless. But as John said, it's our 10th anniversary of Take Care. So at the time of this recording being out, it would have been, I guess, 2 days ago. So it's November 19th. So this episode should be out on the 22nd, hopefully, if everything goes to plan. So this is kind of coming off the back of Thank Me Later, and in between that he had a whole number of singles, a lot of which ended up on the Care Package project that came out, I believe it was last year. So I think this episode, and just to kind of get it off my spirit, John, because it's just something that kind of annoys me, right? No matter how much we talk about Drake, and no matter how much we say, oh, it's not that Drake shit, he just, when it comes to albums, doesn't really put his best foot forward. No matter how much we say that, right? Anytime we actually say we like a Drake song or we engage with a Drake song, it's like, I can't believe it. Like, what? It's like, it's like, it's so triggering, right? Because then that just shows me you're actually not listening to any of the words I'm saying. You just heard a negative thing about a person you like, and then instantly your, I guess, psychological motors just for dislike, and you just
defense mechanism.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, they just brought everything out. So I think the way we're gonna speak about this window of Drake's career, people will be like, but you said this, and this. It's like, okay, this was 10 fucking years ago, bro. Like, keep that context in mind. You know what I mean? So, so just for extra context, this is back of his highly anticipated and somewhat acclaimed at the time, Thank Me Later. I think he kind of broke some of the records at the time. I think it's for like 600K first week. I think the last album to sell that much at the time was Jay-Z's Kingdom Come, which came out, I think, 4 years or so prior. So 2010 to 2006. So that 600K. Obviously, Drake was already a massive star before that. So Far Gone, obviously, put him on the map. So obviously now, for most people, the hype is real. Like, okay, Think It was good. What's he going to follow up with? And he comes up with a very huge shift in sound with singles such as like Club Paradise. There was another one. Jesus. Dreams, Money Can Buy. That's another big single. So I think so people can kind of see Drake's making a huge kind of change in direction.
Yeah.
And I think a lot
of Later was so like sparse instrumentally.
Yes.
Like, you suddenly get to this like kind of luxurious sound, and you're like, oh, okay, he's making money. Like you can hear it.
Yes, exactly that. And I think with Thank Me Later, it was a lot more rooted in traditional hip hop at the time. A lot of it felt like radio reaches, a lot of it felt like what was popping at the time, because this is like the weird kind of like Twilight Zone period that we always talk about, where the bling era is just about ending, but then there's this whole new era of hip hop that hasn't fully realized yet. So Drake's kind of in the middle of that, and I think that's why for a lot of hip hop heads at the time, this album kind of fell flat. It's like, oh, like this just feels a bit all over the place. But I think for the casual hip hop fan, they really loved this because Drake was still rapping. He was still a good rapper, but I think just in terms of sound wise, just wasn't something that lasted very long. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I would say I think that whole era of after Take Care and after the Weeknd's trilogy of mixtapes, there was a good, I'd say maybe 3-4 year period of like that whole like alternative R&B, indie R&B. I think so many words for it. Like, was it like PR&B? Another one. So I think it had the sound kind of lingered for a while. That like hip hop, like going from rapping to singing, definitely had a big impact on like the like you're saying, the kind of twilight zone of, is it hip hop, is it R&B? But yeah, we'll obviously get into whether is this all Drake's inspiration? Was it the Weeknd?
Yes, that's obviously have to cover that as well. Of course, yeah.
But yeah, I guess in terms of like where we first heard this album, or what were our initial thoughts 10 years ago, however long ago we heard it.
Okay, cool. That's very cool. Any other things you want to say?
I think I don't think I heard it in 2011, because I mean, if for the regular listener of the show, I probably didn't get properly into music until around 2013, going into that kind of era. So yeah, I probably would have heard it in 2013, 2014. And yeah, I mean, I that's my memory of it. It just being like this is a few years old now. Some of the songs already then felt a tiny bit dated, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, loved the album. I think for those that listened to the episode where we ranked all of Drake's albums, what episode was that?
I don't know the number, but I know it's Drake Best Worst. I know you like shot with that
in 5 seconds. So yeah, we did that episode in, I think it was episode 45.
A lot more recent than I thought.
Yeah, did that about 12 episodes ago. Yeah, I would have rated this as Drake's second best album after
Nothing Was the Same.
Nothing Was the Same. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's definitely it's in the conversation for a classic, but I'd say Drake's classic, is probably Nothing Was the Same.
Okay, cool. I think obviously I think for I mean, I don't know if there's much of a secret. I think I've been very vocal about this, but like obviously, I've been very vocal about this. But like, I was a massive Drake fan coming out of like secondary school. Well, this is all in secondary school actually. So I didn't finish it this time. But yeah, like from comeback season to So Far Gone to Think Me Later, I was like, cool. Like when this came out, I was ready for it, because Drake had this thing where he had this knack for dropping a lot of singles or loosies. Or like SoundCloud or something, and you're like, oh my gosh, is this going to be the album? Holy shit. And then it was nowhere to be found, but then it's just leaves you tantalizing, because you think, oh, are the songs on the album just better? And sometimes that'll be the case, or sometimes you'll live up to that expectation. So obviously hearing songs like Club Paradise, Dreams, Money Can Buy, I know there's a couple more, I just can't remember it now. Free Spirit with Rick Ross, of course. Gosh, what a banger, that should have been on the album. So songs like that, it's like, oh my gosh, this guy is coming for you guys. And obviously the sophomore record, very excited. So I remember hearing it. I think it was everything I kind of expected from Drake. I think it kind of gave you everything Take Care had, but just way more refined. I think a very glaring part that he's singing. If you go from Find Your Love to Marvin's Room, that's a massive step up. Even in terms of the rapping, songs like Hell Yeah, Fucking Right, and Underground Kings, and stuff like that, you can just tell that it's not that he's changed it a whole lot. I think, actually, no, he has. I think this is I think in terms of album, this is the biggest shift that he's had. So it's not like he's not singing and rapping, he is doing that. But I think in terms of production, in terms of the balance of, the perfect Drake formula, as they say, in terms of how much singing, how much rap you should have on the album, I think this is the genesis of that. Do you know what I mean? And I think you can tell. Some of the songs definitely threw me off at the time. Even to this day, like Marvin's Room. Wasn't expecting a song like that at all. Wasn't expecting the success it had as well. The success was insane as well.
Probably, I mean, still probably one of his top 5 most, well-received songs.
Yeah, insane, right? Like, well, obviously we'll get into that as well. So yeah, I remember just thinking, yeah, I like this album. I played it a lot at the time. I mean, I played it a lot for the years to come, even when Nothing the Same came out. So yeah, that's what I remember from that time, really.
Yeah. And then, 10 years on, kind of listening back, you said you listened to it quite a few times in the following years. Is it something like earlier this year, last year that you've been playing?
No, not really. And I think I think that's the thing with music, right? I think one thing people it's so easy. Like people do this with music, but when I don't think they realize how dumb they look sometimes. Like imagine reviewing yourself as like a 15-year-old, as a 25-year-old. You're gonna be like, oh, zero stars in that one. Whereas if you're reviewing yourself as a person when you're 15, 16, you think you're the best person in the world. You think no one understands you. You're all that shit, right? You think you're the shit secretly, or maybe not a secret. Do you know what I mean? So I think when you look back at albums, you treat it the same way, right? Like I think people. Because the thing about it, yes, we are objective when it comes to music, but there is magic in music in a sense. Like it makes you feel something, it reminds you of a place and time, it might remind you of someone, or it reminds you of someone you don't want to remember, or stuff like that. It has all that power, right? So when I listen to Take Care, I don't listen to it as if I'm, a 26-year-old man. I listen to it as if I was 16 and it came out. And I think that's the memories you have in it. I think what some people try to do, or I think maybe in a way to kind of, I think because they think we do this or they expect it from us, they remove all the, I guess, context or the emotions around the album and just think, oh, it's just shit now. It's like, no, that's not how I see it. Do you know what I mean? That's not how I see it at all. I think at the time it came out, I enjoyed it. And you got to think, how old is Drake now? How old is he?
He must be 30. Is he 34?
I think it's 34.
35, yeah.
35, right? So this album came out as a 25-year-old man, Drake. So of course, I don't think even
someone
Drake...
suggest it sounds as if he was younger, but
I mean, boy,
that's neither here nor there.
But yeah, so like so I think so what is I'm like, okay, I 100% get why I like some of these songs, 100%. And some of these songs did live on. I'm like, okay, so I still enjoyed them. But in terms of an album as a whole, I think in the way I listen to music, I am a big I listen to a project front to back. I don't really like playlists in the same way. It's probably the same way you do. I know you make a lot of playlists. So I think that's the problem with it. Like I don't feel like listening to it as a whole. I like the songs from it. If that makes sense. Yeah,
for sure. I think it also kind of something I wouldn't have noticed earlier on listening to it because I wasn't so interested in like production stuff as I am now. Like the production is solid on this. Obviously, people who know Drake and his discography, obviously 40 is the kind of in-house producer, OVO, basically done it the entirety of Drake's discography. This isn't any different, but what is different are those kind of editions of the Weeknd and his kind of guy. I think he's called Elangelo or something. He kind of did all the early mixtapes for the Weeknd and then kind of came on board a few years back to do some more work with them. And then obviously you have Jamie XX on Take Care, and then Just Blaze, obviously Lord Knows, which I mean is probably one of the best instrumentals on there. So yeah, it's definitely an incredibly well produced album. I'll say that. And it's nice having those bits of variation as well, because although 40 produces, what is it, something like 15 of the 18 tracks, there are those elements of different genres, sounds, the electronic elements from Jamie XX, the like proper hip hop kind of trappy beats from Just Blaze. So production wise, really, really good.
Yeah, that's fair. I would, I mean, in terms of variation, I think that's where you kind of miss me, because like I think yes, production is good, but I think sometimes in terms of the shift or the pacing of the album, it's kind of wild sometimes. Like how you kind of go from I mean not in a sense, but I think the transition to Marvin's Room.
So we can like sequencing.
Yeah, from Take Care to Marvin's Room, it's like, and Marvin's Room to Buried Alive, it's like, I mean, like it's kind of weird sometimes. And even Buried Alive to Underground Kings, like, I think there's stuff like that makes me feel like, oh, whatever. Some of the production, like for example, Take Care. Now that you said that it's produced by Jamie XX, it actually makes all the sense now looking back, because that was like one of my least favorite songs on this album. It just feels so hard, like it's trying to be on the radio. And obviously, I think one thing you gotta remember about this album, right? This came out when streaming wasn't a thing, so people are buying CDs straight from the store and stuff like that. So there was more of a need to have songs like this on, and obviously Drake was very conscious of this at the time. He always has been. So I think stuff like that, it's like I get it, but it's like, oh, do you know what I mean? I think what's funny, it's so interesting to see how much Drake has evolved over the years, of course. 10 years ago, he was making 20 plus track albums. He was, dedicating interludes to one up and coming artist. He was very
so much
just enamored by Texas women, women from Houston. And always lamenting about how he's trying to find the one but doesn't know how, and but yet still trying to put on this facade of being a tough man. And that was 10 years ago, of course. That's got so much
changed. He was
a lot has changed.
A juvenile 25-year-old man. He's now a multi-millionaire. He's got the acclaim, the success. He's doing things differently now, I think.
Of course, yeah. I mean, if you listen to Certified Lover Boy, there's no way you would think
it's not the same man.
It's not the same man. It's just a different beast. Like Kobe said, are you the same animal but different beast? You know what I mean? So that is Drake all over, isn't it? So what how do you feel like this album has kind of like aged over time? Because obviously now you said you listened to it 2013, 2014, even then that's like 6 or 7, 8 years ago. So how's it changed for you?
I think the album is, although generally speaking, a lot, like the majority of the tracks I enjoy, I think it's just made by the highs and the lows, because there are some lows on here. And those, I think, over time only get worse. I think as sounds move on, and as I think just whatever I didn't originally enjoy, I now look at and I'm like, that's even worse. And I think the tracks that I enjoyed then, I can kind of enjoy more now. Like you were saying, a lot of them, they have that nostalgia feel. So you go back and you listen, and you're like, oh, I mean, for me, that was maybe 7 years ago I first heard it. So I go back and think, just ending school, starting uni, thinking about, what was going on at that point in my life. I think, like I said, the highs and the lows are just exacerbated 10 years on.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's because this kind of framework was used for pretty much every album after this, except for one or two. Yeah, nothing was the same except for that one. It just feels like, you kind of look at this and it's like, and this is the problem with making the same album again and again, because obviously one always kind of lives out. It's like, okay, this one is like the best version, that's why I need to listen to the others. But I feel like, it's just so like I think this is, if you kind of fast forward to today, I think it's very clear why people have issues with Drake, because the exact same issues you have with this album, the exact same issue you have with Certified Lover Boy. It's just that the extremities are different. Do you know what I mean? It's exactly the same. Exactly the same. So it's hard. It's kind of hard to look at this and be like, oh my gosh, like it's, this is 10 years ago. And to be honest, it could come out today and it will still feel like new Drake. And I don't know if that's a good thing. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's a good thing. I think that's the worrying thing about Drake's career now. But I think, obviously, looking at the time which we're looking at, it was a good thing. I think it was I think people really welcomed it. I think if you look at Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, I think Later, they are quite distinctive. And so it does. I think that's one thing. Even hip hop heads, because even if we're adding that context, hip hop heads hated Drake. Oh my gosh. They hated Drake. And songs like Marvin's Room did not help either. So, but one thing they always have to give credit Drake for, he always tried something different, whether it was starting from the bottom, whether it was Find Your Love, whether it was Marvin's Room. He always tried something different. So I think that's one thing people always gave him credit for. So I think that's a large part why this album did well, is because there was a lot of things that, as someone who claims, someone who asserts himself so much in hip hop, he was doing stuff so differently to everyone else at the time. Yeah, sure. So it's kind of the last of the innovation, really, wasn't it? Yeah, I'll say Nothing Was the Same was the last. Yes, sorry, yeah. But I think since it was like a huge one, this was the biggest one. I'd say so. Yeah.
And that, I guess after that, he reached his final form, didn't he?
Yeah,
and just
pretty much.
Kept going with that formula.
Mm.
I kind of touched on it before, and I guess because we've already mentioned production very briefly. What are your thoughts on, I guess, the inspiration for this album, the element of, The Weeknd supposedly giving him half of the album, appearing on quite a few of them, appearing as a writer and then also as a producer. How do you think that impacts the album for you?
Massively. I remember when I first kind of got the news that Drake, because obviously this kind of came around. This is why Meek Mill won the war, right? Because once Meek Mill said this, you did kind of look at a lot of Drake's albums in retrospect, and I'm like, wait, what's all this then? And I remember
What's all this?
And obviously Weeknd and Drake at the time weren't on the best of terms, much with pretty much everyone else in the industry of Drake at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Weeknd kind of said it in a cuntist way, but he's like, yeah, I kind of basically like wrote half of that shit. And then you look at Take Care, and it's like, actually, shit, this is just The Weeknd, isn't it? Like, this is The Weeknd. And it was definitely getting on this Drake skin, no matter what he says, right? Like, there's a whole, like, I think there was a time, this was years after, this like 2017 or something like that, where literally, I think Drake must have posted a picture of him looking at the Take Care track list or something like that. And someone must have made a comment basically, The Weeknd wrote half of it anyways. And he just went off, and this wasn't even on his own page. This was on like the fucking Complex Instagram page. The guy just went off on the guy. I think he got the quote. Let me try and find it now. Abel, and he put in capitals, Abel co-wrote on Shop For Me and Practice. Obviously was featured on Crew Love and The Ride, and that's it. There's 20 songs on that album. Don't try me. So obviously 6 years later, this is something that still really bothers him. So I think just kind of making my own kind of conclusions from the information out there. And yeah, drama. It does feel like The Weeknd did have a heavy hand on this album. And Drake is known for doing that, where he'll have an up and coming artist that he knows of, that many people do, whether it's a sampler, whether it's The Weeknd, and he kind of just throws them in. He's like, okay, cool, me and you, we're doing this together, kind of thing. So if you do look at Nothing Was the Same, big sampler influences in terms of some of the songs, 100%. So yeah, so I think looking back, it changed how much credit I gave to Drake, or I think it kind of made sense as to why he couldn't do something like this again. Not that I'd want him to, but just know why he couldn't, because, he does say it's 4 songs, but that's still like, what, 20%? No, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, 20%.
And 20% if you're talking about the bonus tracks, which...
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so that's still significant. I mean, we're not going to act like that's just like, oh, it's just like a crumb. Like, it's not like you gave the fucking guy £2 when it was £1.99. Like, no, like, I mean, it's all 20%. So I think, and that's just ones that you have to credit, like, he's not going to go and fuck himself and be like, oh, actually, he's ghostwriting other ones as well. Like, he's not going to say that. So, yeah, I think it definitely changed how I looked at this in terms of Drake's legacy. What about you?
Yeah, I think it definitely massively impacts it. I think interestingly, I came at it from the other way. I started listening to The Weeknd before I heard this.
Okay.
I think, weirdly enough, I'm only just remembering this now. So I think it was in sixth form. So it must have been 2013, maybe 2014, early 2014. I started listening to The Weeknd and like heard the mixtapes, and then heard Kissland, and then probably would have heard Take Care a little bit later.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's undoubtable. You can't listen to the mixtapes. You can't listen to kind of even the earlier mixtapes from The Weeknd that you can't get on streaming services and not think, this is The Weeknd all over on a number of those tracks. Specifically, obviously the ones he's on or he's kind of co-written. It's a Weeknd song, but Drake's on it.
Yes.
And yeah, so I think, like you said, in terms of like legacy, that kind of has to count against him. If you think, like one of his, I think most people would agree it's probably his first or second best album, and a lot of the kind of soundscape and the best tracks are questionable as to whether they've actually come directly from him.
Yes,
it's got to count against you, I'm afraid.
100%. And I know people like to be like, oh, but music is a collaborative process and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. This is rap, my guy. This is rap. We're not talking about fucking. Go and listen to R&B if you want some collaborative work. I don't give a fuck. Rap has always been a competitive genre. That's why it's such an interesting genre, because it's all about, one, are you writing your rhymes and how good they are? So let's just keep it that way. It's always, it's always been that way. Yes, ghostwriting has been around probably for as long as hip hop, but in terms of people who are rated in their legacy, it's not mainly the people who collaborate. You can say they have good music, like people give Dr. Dre, props for Chronic, of course, and 2001. People always do that, but in terms of, no one's gonna be like Dr. Dre's a top 5 rapper of all time. That would never come up anyone's mouth, and he knows that, and he accepts that. Do you know what I mean? But with Drake, for some reason, it has to be like the exception to the rule, whatever. It's like, no, he has the Dr. Dre kind of slight against him, but he also has the status of a Biggie or Tupac. It's like, no, it can't be this. It can't be both. You got to choose one. Choose one. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's obviously kind of the Weeknd's influence on it. I think interestingly, I don't know the whole story around this, but I think it was the producer that the Weeknd worked with on his first 3 mixtapes. He's called Carlo Montagnese or Montagnese, also known as Ilangelo. But I think there was something went on after their first 3 mixtapes. Like the Weeknd either pied him off money wise, or like didn't kind of give him the credit he was due, and then they stopped working together for a while, and then he came back again, I think, for some later projects. But yeah, just an interesting soundbite for people out there. Anyway, there we go. So yeah, should we kind of look at some kind of tracks that maybe didn't hit? Some of the worst tracks to start with, should we say?
Tracks. Okay, cool. In typical fashion, right?
Fashion.
I think it's weird because obviously, like, looking at this track list, it's like there's so many memories connected to each one. Even Marvin's Room, like, you're up in your room thinking about that girl in secondary school who just want to give time of day, whatever the fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is one of those albums. But in terms of songs that I never liked, Make Me Proud has got to be one of them. I know people like Nicki Minaj at the time. I know people love Drake at the time, but I never liked this song. It's
a bizarre beat.
Yes,
I'll say that, because once it fully realizes it's not too bad, and kind of it doesn't it cut off when Nicki Minaj starts rapping, and then it comes back in again. But yeah, it feels very, very 2010s.
Yes,
out of maybe all of the album, the
more 2000s, maybe 2010s.
Yeah, I guess late 2000s. It feels very like, I don't know why this artist is popping into my head, but like Mr. Hudson. Like, that's all I'm thinking of. That like 2009, 2010. Yeah,
I heard that name in years.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't believe people were riding so high on that guy. Fuck me. I knew at the time as a kid this guy was not going to be around forever. Like, it was just a Kanye project, man. Come on. Anyways, continue.
So yeah, no, I agree on that. I think at this time when Drake and Nicki Minaj having something going on, weren't they, between them?
Allegedly, but I think at this time, I think it was definitely still a Rihanna season for Drake. Right. As things always are.
Yeah, but yeah, it's an odd beat. I'll agree with you on that one. Not sure about that track.
I think another song, but let me just slap in. I think Doing It Wrong has to go, man. If I had to talk about songs, like, I get it, but I think it goes too far into that bag, because we already have Marvin's Room, right? And cool. I think people assimilated themselves to that enough. I mean, you have Doing It Wrong, and yes, Stevie Wonder plays an amazing saxophone, but fuck me, this guy kind of just goes way.
Goes a bit too far.
Yeah,
if you need to.
Yeah,
like stay to hold you,
and it's just toxic as fuck, in it. Like, it's
very.
I mean, like, you try to make some songs. Basically, guys saying, "Oh, I can't stick around, but
you've done this to yourself."
Yeah, you've done this to yourself. Trying, like, whatever. But it just feels like the worst parts of Thank Me Later, in terms of, like, I think of songs like CeCe's interlude, stuff like that. It just feels like the worst parts of that album manifested onto here. So yeah, I don't think that's fair. It. Yeah,
I think it's one of the most nostalgic tracks for me. I must have listened to it more than the others. I think objectively it's a bit of a skip. I think I do agree there. It's very, very slow. It's not particularly interesting.
Yes.
Like, I think the sentiment behind it could have been an interlude.
Oh yes.
Like I wouldn't have
100%.
actually minded this as an interlude, like a you know, a little bit of a singy, you know, kind of like repetitive thing going on, and then you cut straight to, I don't know, Stevie Wonder doing the sax. That could have been an okay like minute and a half interlude, but the fact it goes on for like 4.5 of God's minutes, it's not. Yeah, I don't think it holds up, unfortunately.
No. I don't like We'll Be Fine either. It's that big section. We'll Be Fine, Make Me Proud. Those one, that's the one too. But at the time, maybe people thought, because obviously Birdman's name still rung some sort of relevance. It was like, oh, but looking back, it's like, gosh, like that is just why is he just like sucking your dick for like 2 minutes? Like you don't really need that. Like that is just like, no, for an album that you want to live forever. It's like, why do you need that? You don't need that, man. So
yeah. I'll say one. Well, The Motto, I think that can go. That was one of the bonus tracks. I did not enjoy that.
You know what? To be fair, I remember many a nights at university where this would be like one of the, like, I'll call it like a warm-up song. Like, you know, it's like, it's not quite Bashford time, but like, it's not 10 p.m. anymore. So they'll play one of these songs, like a couple shots and blow through. And I'll sing along. I can't lie. I mean, like, it's one of those songs, especially like the Tiger remix. I think people, one of those songs that got people hyped. So I think for that reason, it has a special place in my heart. But like, definitely listen back, it's like, I get why it's a deluxe. Like I think before it's like, why isn't this on the album? But now looking back, it's like, no, that was a great decision. They didn't need to. And like even as a Drake fan back then, that whole YOLO thing, that whole YOLO movement that kind of started off this song was unbearable. Do you remember that shit? Fuck it up. Like this is like
YOLO to anything.
Yeah, like if we're looking at like a microcosm of human history, right? We're looking at like, I don't know, like the Mesopotamian ages of memes, right? So before people were like, you know, had sophisticated memes, they just add YOLO to the end of every fucking sentence. And that was like a meme, whatever. That was just unbearable. I hated that.
I mean, culture. Yeah, definitely influenced it. But yeah, no, I think for me, it's a T- beat, I think. Is that right? I think T- made this one.
Did you work for T- that long? Fair enough. Damn, T- has been doing what?
T- produced this. Yeah. Yeah. And okay, another one for me.
Okay, let's keep going.
Practice.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get what you're trying to do there as well in terms of because Drake, probably to his surprise, has now become somewhat of a sex symbol in 2011. Like, you know, girls love the shit out of him because he's rich and famous. So I think, and obviously you can tell from this album, this guy is just getting mad pussy, right? So I think he wanted to kind of word it in a way where I think he wanted to do like a sexy song in a sense. He wanted to do like
one for the
Lights
ladies.
Please. Do you know what I mean? Like also kind of look at what's going to like a Lights Please or a Poetic Justice, if you want to look at Kendrick. I think he wanted that type of song. I think Drake was just too awkward to put it on, really. So, yeah. You know there's a music video for this song as well.
I've not seen it.
It's very raw. If you look far enough on the internet, there is a music video for this one. So yeah. But yeah, no, I agree with that one.
I think for me it's just excuse me, it just feels a bit flat. I think similar to to a couple of the previous ones we mentioned. It just you can feel that it's coming towards the end of the album. Where it's almost as if he's kind of not necessarily run out of inspiration, because like you say, there's obviously an idea behind it, but just the execution and the follow through on that idea isn't there. It just I don't know, it just sounds a bit bored to me. It's too down tempo, it's too slowed, and it's just it's just not saying. I just not saying much interesting, and it's so weird coming right after Look What You've Done, which is obviously an amazing ode to his mother. It's just no. After Hey You're Fucking Right, sorry. Yeah, it's just weird. It's just a weird placement. Like I don't know. Like I think even if I couldn't change any of the tracks in this album, I feel like if just a rearrangement would do this album a whole heap of good. A whole heap of good. If like you just put this towards like maybe the top half of the album potentially, I think it would be make more sense in a sense. But yeah, I agree with that one. Any others from you that really needed to go?
Oh, shot for me. Fuck me, how could I forget? My God.
Shot for me. Oh.
There's nothing redeeming about that song. I'm so sorry. There's nothing redeeming about that song. That song is like, so that's the thing, and that's another thing about Drake at the time, right? Drake is corny. Drake is cringe. Do you know what's funny, right? So looking back now, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Childish Gambino kind of got away from all his like awkward growth stages, like camp and stuff like that, because all the flame was going on Drake, right? Like, you know, like in class, right, when like both of you were talking, but one of you gets in trouble. It's like, I didn't even do nothing. Like, I mean, I feel like Childish Gambino, like, well, yeah, if you look back at camp, it's like, fuck me, that's corny. But he kind of was allowed to grow in peace. Like, not as much scrutiny was placed on him because Drake was around. So yeah, songs like this, I feel like, yeah, Childish Gambino do the same shit at the time. Like, you know?
Yeah, it's very it's just incredibly like cringy. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I said it, bitch. I'm the man. Don't you forget it. And then yeah, it's just I don't know. It's not a good one. It's not a good one.
Yeah.
What's the song about again? He's kind of talking about an ex for a while, isn't he?
Yeah, he's basically talking about
I never cheated. What was it? I never cheated. Something on the record for the record.
Yeah. He said,
like
I never cheated the record back with you, yeah. But you believed in everything but Miko, I don't get you. But no, he's basically talking about like now that basically the girl kind of like gave up on him or the relationship, and obviously now he's blown up, and it's like, oh, the way you walk, that's me, the way you talk, that's me, kind of thing. You're basically like, now she's just kind of like steaming because this guy is now, you know, become a star, which obviously kind of alludes to Drake's whole career, where he always let you know that he's more relevant than the woman he's dating. So,
and then the wild, I mean, if that wasn't wild enough, then, you know, I'm the reason why you're always getting faded. Take a shot at me. Like, fucking hell. Yeah.
I mean, 25,
no
I guess.
Yeah.
Well, you know, how were you at 25, John? I don't know.
It's only a year ago.
It wasn't like this, were we?
Nope.
We've been boomers the whole time. Fuck me. But yeah, I think, that apart from that, that song, that's a good. Luckily, it's not that long. And even at the end, and this is the thing about Drake, which was just weird at the time and still is, even that little like weird prayer at the end, where it's like, may your neighbors respect you, trouble neglect you, angels protect you, and heaven accept you. It's like, what the fuck are you even talking about right now? Like,
he's doing, I don't know if this is going to land right. I feel like he's doing the equivalent of what, shout out to Mike's at Slime Talk. He's doing the equivalent of what Mike's did for that Yebba's Heartbreak song. He's like, he's trying to reel it back in and go, oh, you know, I don't know. Do you get the comparison?
Yeah, no, 100%. Where it's like, oh, it fits. But actually, it's meant to be an old Irish toast. So the fact that you added that, it's like, oh, shot for me. This is the Irish toast. Oh, it all makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I fucked your life up. But you know, it's not my problem. and now here's some wisdom.
Yeah, literally. Very much. Oh, no, let's talk about some positive, right? Because obviously, like, despite all of this, we're still saying it's one of our favorite fucking Drake albums, isn't it?
Yes.
Which says a lot about Drake's career and his discography. So, I'll start with some good songs. I think one song, funny enough, none of us said Marvin's Room. So obviously, like, and a lot of these songs that we had complaints about were the singing songs, right? That they came across too corny. So my question to you is, what is it about Marvin's Room that kind of struck that balance to you? It's like, okay, it's not too corny, you know, it's not, you know, like, what kind of sold it for you?
I think it's probably the song he gets right in terms of like the balance between the rapping and the R&B. So I feel like it's the balance of rapping and singing, right? So I think it's probably like a good microcosm of that album of like what he's trying to do.
Okay, right.
So that like good blend of like, oh, you know, like hard spitting rapper, like, oh, this is what we want. Like Drake can actually rap, and then, you know, the sensitive R&B singer. So I think he's got the balance right on this song. It's probably one of the most emotional ones as well, which is why people love it. Like you said earlier, you know, it reminds you of that like that like drunken moment where you're like, oh, you know, thinking about an ex, like, oh, fucked it up. They don't want me anymore. Blah blah. Which I'm sure everyone can relate to at some point in their adolescence or adulthood. No judgment. So yeah, I think the blend and then also just the relatableness. Love it.
Pretty mad that he's doing this at 25 though. Like,
It's funny.
do you know what I mean? Like, looking
No
at it, it's like,
judgment, but
yeah, like it was hitting me at like 16, right? But I'm 16. Like, I've got an excuse straight. Like, I would not make a song like this at 25. Yeah, like I just don't know. I don't know if that's my bag. But yeah, I mean, and even calling it Marvin's, also I know he recorded it in one of Marvin Gaye's like old studios or something like that, right? Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I think if you're gonna go in on like that whole persona, then jumping with 2 feet, right? And I think this is why people like the song, because he is talking about catching a body like that on like a couple songs up the track list. I get that it is a bit weird, but at least he's like fully going for it. Like, he's not half-hearted it. He's really been in his like lover boy type of shit, right? Like, yeah, I'm calling you drunk. Like,
the drunk style.
You could do better. And he's always like, now he's lamenting about girls he almost could have had. Like, it all makes sense, right? So I think that's why it's like, okay, if you're talking about the song by itself in terms of how the song makes sense, so it's a good song. I can't lie. And even the way it ends is quite nice as well. So yeah. But I agree with you on that one. It's a good song.
Another one, Lord Knows. Let's go there. Let's Just Blaze. I mean, come on. The production on this is incredible. But yeah, obviously Drake and Rick Ross on this one. Lovely, like talking about like the production, lovely like gospel choir vocals in the background, and then you've got that like hard hitting like trap beat from Just Blaze.
Very Just Blaze-esque.
Very. Yeah. I mean, the man just knows how to make a fucking beat. So
yeah, he does.
There we go. Yeah, I think just like good like authoritative rapping from Drake, which that's something often that we lament when we hear quote unquote rap these days. It's very whiny, it's very moany, but here he's just rapping, and you feel that, similar to when people talk about 2013 was Drake's year because he had if you're reading this if you're reading this it's too late, sorry. And you feel on a lot of those songs like there's just like there's some authority on here in the way he's rapping, and that's what you get on Lord Knows. Good flows as well. He sounds energized. Some great kind of like one-liners. He says, was it bought a white ghost, now shit is getting spooky, blah blah blah, blah. Just some nice lines. I think he raps, what is it, his verse is long as hell.
It is long,
like 3 minutes straight or something.
Yeah, it just goes off.
So definitely one of the highlights rapping wise from the album.
100%.
Awkward line from Rick Ross talking about being the only fat black guy in the sauna with Jews, but we'll that's Rick Ross.
I mean, this is pre-social media.
2011.
Different time.
Got away with it then.
But no, I think one line on this song that I really like, when he's like, I'm more concerned about like people like think about Christmas in August, doing anything to buy gifts to their daughters, stuff like that. So I mean, like he had a nice little like cadence to it. Do you know what I mean? He had like a nice delivery. Like I think the whole song, like, and then I think one thing which I kind of wish we got more of it earlier on in Drake's career, like him working with other producers, because I feel like it challenged him in a good way.
Yeah.
So obviously, big production like this, you can't just be the background. You really got to go for it, and he really did. And I think obviously him and Rick Ross have always kind of been on like quite big production. They've been just work on that, but like not a single boring moment on this whole song, to be honest. And I think if you kind of look at the structure, it does remind me a lot of Devil in a New Dress, where it's like straight rapping, and then there's like a bridge, and then there's Rick Ross coming in at the end. Very similar, do you know what I mean? But no, love it, man. There's one song actually we both haven't mentioned, and I'm pretty sure everyone always forgets this song's on the album. I forget sometimes as well. But there is Kendrick Lamar on the whole song by himself here, right? This is Section 80 Kendrick Lamar. So let's talk about that. What do you think of Buried Alive?
It's probably the song I always forget as well. So this is, so you're saying Section 80. This is when, I think then when you think about Kendrick was on the Drake album, Drake was substantially bigger than Kendrick.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
So much bigger. You've caught me out here. I can't even remember the song.
So I'll Google it over you. So the song is basically about like, I think
It's
he's
an
kind of
interlude,
talking
is
about
it?
his career. Yeah, it's an interlude.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like focusing his career. I mean, it's the whole session's about him talking to a girl who basically like talks about Drake, and then I think it kind of makes him realize like Drake is a lot bigger than he is, and it makes him feel kind of jealous about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, like something along that nature, right? So it's like, okay, like I'm out in dinner with a girl. She's telling me about this Canadian guy, and talking about, you know, he has Rihanna as a lady friend, and he's trying to make it big, but it's not work for him. But they're the same age, so it makes him feel like jealous, rude in the page, stuff like that. I'm not gonna add to him and be like, it's one of Kendrick's best performances. I didn't even know who Kendrick was at the time. So, and I think this is one of the most, like, if you kind of fast forward to 2016 when 4P and Calabasas came out, right? When they said when Drake was talking about they told me to put some R&B niggas on and said no, and I drew for Kendrick and Rocky, and no one can ever take that away from him because he 100% did that, didn't he? He really gave Kendrick a whole song on his sophomore project, which is like wild, to be honest, especially for someone of Drake's stature. So he always has that over Kendrick. But I think looking back at this, like I still don't understand why he did it. I think, and also Drake's always got a good. He's always had a good ear for new talent, so maybe that's what it was. But I don't get why they didn't just jump on the song together, or maybe just thought. I know there was a lot of people at the time who really thought Kendrick is the one. Like obviously J. Cole wanted to sign him at one point, which is something like. So maybe Drake just thought, no, you are like the one, so I'm just gonna give you a whole song. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, that's fair. It's funny that's the one I kind of always forget about.
Yeah, like everyone always forgets, right? It's like two of the biggest rappers in hip hop for the last 10 years. And he does have a whole song, but it's not, it's just it's not a very energetic performance. To be fair. It's not bad. Like, you know, it's not bad, but it's not good kid, I'll say that. Like, you know, we're still quite a ways from that. Yeah.
Let us move elsewhere. Let's talk. I want to get your opinions on this one first. Cameras, Good Ones.
Oh, I really like the song.
Yeah,
I really like the song. Good Ones, not too much, but it's short, right? So it doesn't piss me off too much. But Cameras is like, that's that. Like when I think of Take Care, I think of that song. I feel like that's the sound of the album. Like it gives you like a Take Care sound. Yeah, banger, man. Like when I think of the album cover, this is the song I think of. I don't know why that is, but that's what I associate with. Like this, it's smooth. The samples beautifully placed. And I know it has this like analog type of sound to it. It's not crystal clear. It's a really good song. It's a really good song. Banger. Really good song.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree with you again. The second half is pretty boring. Yeah, the first half's brilliant. I mean, like you said, the sample of John B's Calling on You. Really nice. John B, I wasn't aware of this, but the guy has 3 platinum albums. I know he was big in that era, and one of them went double platinum.
Damn.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
John B was really that guy.
Shout out to John B. Holy shit.
I always find this funny because when I first heard the song.
Wait, is he the one that did no. He's the one that did those R&B type of songs, isn't it? Like I know which ones you're talking about. Like They Don't Know.
Yep, They Don't Know. Are You Still Down?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So he had the album Bonafide that went platinum. And then he had Cool Relax, which I think went double platinum. And then he had Pleasures You Like, which went
You know what? That makes sense because his singles, also you buy albums at the time, his singles were massive.
Huge.
Yeah. Is he the one who said, "Fuck you, you hoe, I don't want you back"? That's him, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think it is. Hold on, keep talking. It's fine.
But anyway, talking of John B, he for me is, I don't know if any of you people listening today have watched that video. If you haven't, you should. Bobby Caldwell, a great singer. There are some hilarious videos on YouTube of people listening to his music for the first time or for the 30th time and suddenly finding out that the guy is in fact white.
Yes.
And this was the realization I had with John B when I found out that he was white. I don't know why. I think I wasn't expecting it. There we go.
Well, he's white passing, I think. I don't think he's fully white, but yeah.
He is.
Is he fully white?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I think something like his dad is Dutch and his mother's Jewish.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But there we
Definitely
go.
grew up in LA or something. If I check this now, definitely did. He must have.
Have you found out?
No, it's not that. I'm gonna have to listen to it, but I know the songs. If I played it, I'd know. Okay, he's white. Fair enough. Sorry. Yeah, he's straight.
He grew
white.
up in Rhode Island. I feel like.
Oh, okay. No, that's straight white.
That's pretty white.
White. Yeah. Massachusetts. Fair enough. Anyway, so
yeah, good.
John
good
B.
Sorry.
What was the reference about John B?
The fact that was the sample.
Oh, right.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, he samples John B's "Calling on You."
Okay. Fair.
Yeah, and just like speeds it up quite a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, good. Fair. You know, The Weeknd's on there, giving some like brief background vocals, and then yeah.
On cameras.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Pretty sure he is. Yeah, and then once you get to that second half, it's very boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did not need that. Yeah. Let's have a look. I feel like you want to give us something about Hell Yeah.
Oh, fucking right. You know what? It's one of those songs where I just don't believe him. I don't believe, because here's the thing, right? Drake has never been lickety split rap quick type of guy, right? He's never been that guy. So the fact that he's only done it on one song his whole career kind of shows you that I don't believe he can actually perform this song. I've never seen a performance of this song. If you have one, let me know. But it's a good song. Lil Wayne, and maybe we can get into that after, right? But yeah, Lil Wayne had a good guest verse in this one. It's cool. I think the music video was quite weird. I know it was his bar mitzvah or something like that. The music video. But no, I think the song's cool. I think it does what it's trying to do, right? Like, you know, it's kind of like probably a lot of the emotions he felt at the time, right? He's blowing up so quick. People are saying like, you know, like, how are you taking it? Like, oh, are you taking drugs? Who you fucking? You know, like, what are you doing? Like, I think, and he's kind of playing it off in a quite comical song. I think it works, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's like, nah, don't know about that.
There's a pretty that corny line from Lil Wayne where he's like, met a female dragon, had a fire conversation. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
At the time, people lost their shit over that.
I bet they did. They're like, whoa, what's going on? Yeah, it's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, so what we're gonna give us something that is your favorite? What song you want to go to next?
I mean, I think my favorites are probably Lord Knows, Cameras, and Marvin's Run.
Okay, fair.
I really enjoy.
Okay, so let's talk about another feature that has Lil Wayne, but also has some people's, you know, GOAT in Free Stacks, The Real Her.
Real Her.
What do you think of this one?
Yeah, so it feels like a bit of a because I think this came out as a single, right?
Did it? I'm not sure.
I think it came out. I feel like it came out earlier than the album itself. I don't know why I'm thinking that.
Okay.
Maybe it didn't. But yeah, it feels like a follow up to, was it Houston, Atlanta, Vegas, right?
Yes, that's a good one.
Yes. Yeah. From So Far Gone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm thinking. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, it feels like a bit of a follow up to that. It's okay. I mean, I like it. I don't think I enjoy Lil Wayne on this. I feel like it's very tokenry. Is that the word? Tokenistic. I don't feel like he needs to be on this one. He doesn't rap a huge amount on here, does he?
Yeah.
It's the previous song that that he's kind of on a lot more. So yeah, no, I'm not a fan of Lil Wayne on here. But Andre, yeah, that's his thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like I know people will always do this because it's Andre, it has to be an amazing person. Yeah. It was okay. It was cool. Yeah. Like, you know, he said something. I think it was just Drake and Andre would have worked. And that's something about this fucking album, which is crazy, right? Because his second album, he already has Stevie Wonder, Andre 3000, Rihanna, Rick Ross. Rick Ross who was probably as big as Drake at the time. Yeah. Probably Lil Wayne obviously signed to him. Like he's got all these like fucking like power. Yeah. Obviously Weeknd and Kendrick weren't as big at the time, fair enough. But yeah, he's got like a lot of big help. Also Just Blaze on production. Like guys just stays winning, right? Just ridiculous. I'm trying to think, right? I'm trying to think where we can go. Let's go to Look What You've Done, because I think if people have listened to our sometimes I might be introvert review. I think now I listen to this more, and the resemblances are so stark. Like obviously, even the way their songs are titled, right? Look what you've done, and obviously, how did you get here? It feels like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like this. It feels very archetypical. Obviously, we can't talk to my mom, and even the flows as well, the laid-back production. Like, yeah, I really like the song by the way. Like, I think the song's really good. Like, and I know I think he had this thing. I don't know if he still does it, but like every album will have like a song dedicated to his mum. You know,
Sandy, right?
Yeah, Sandra. Yeah, but yeah. So I think it's cool. I think this being the first rendition of it, I don't think he did this on Thank Me Later. But yeah, this being the first rendition of him continuing to do this, I thought it was really cool, kind of like giving a whole story. And I think this is what Drake should tap into more, because it shows that he can be emotive and he can be relatable without him trying to act like he's from the street. Do you know what I mean? Just kind of talk about, you know, kind of having to go back from Memphis to Canada because your parents are separated, and you know, kind of, and also kind of be quite self-aware, like Boohoo's Sad Story, Black American Dad Story, like, do you know what I mean? Kind of having that self-awareness as well. I think that would work so much more for him than trying to be someone he's not. And it's kind of a shame he didn't really tap into that as much. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's something that's I know one criticism obviously of Drake is that he doesn't have the the kind of like socially aware, like, you know, To Pimp a Butterfly album. He doesn't have one of them. But then the other criticism is that what does he have then? Because none of the albums are. There's no. Not that this is a particularly amazing album, but there's no like For Your Eyes Only type of album. There's no like KOD. There's no, you know, J. Cole's tried to do it with a lot of like social themes and a lot of kind of like delving into like specific there's drugs addiction, wherever it is, but Drake hasn't done that, and I think he could do that. Clearly he's got a lot of clearly awareness here of things around him. He's clearly like you're saying with like the Boohoo line, like there are things you're saying you tap into a lot more, and I think this song is so frustrating to look back at, because he could do so much more. Yeah, he could do so much more with these types of themes, and let people in a bit more. Because like past the age of 20, like before the age of 25, I have no idea what went on with Drake really. Like I have no idea what his childhood upbringing, like the nuances of like the like parents divorcing, you know, dad being black, mum being white. Like tell us more about that. I'm sure I'm sure there are some unique experiences that you can share with the listener, but
that's true.
It's frustrating.
It is.
But yeah, like you said, very, very good song. A lot of very emotive lines. Just a young kid in a drop top Lexus.
All right.
Where's the line? I can't remember if it's this song or what song it is. It has a line about paying way too much to rent a car. What is it?
Oh, this might be this song. I can't remember the line though.
Let's try and find it, because it obviously reminded me of the birth post. Okay, I'm gonna find it. As you said to me, keep talking.
Well, anyways, whilst John is on his hunt, what song should we talk about next, guys? What song is on your mind? I'm thinking we should talk about Underground Kings. I think that's one of I think that's a pretty banging song of Drake's. But we will discuss that once John has, finished his search. Whilst you're here, like and subscribe. Obviously, you're here now, so I don't know. I'll just do some advert, right? This episode is brought to you by Good Vibes and Christian Corinthians. I don't know. I was making up stuff on the fly now, but you're not going to find it. No,
can't find it. Yeah. Oh well.
Lost in the
there was a line about yes. Oh, it's from the ride.
There you go. Oh, okay.
From the ride, he's like, steal your mother's debit card so you can maintain the image and ride around in overpriced rental cars that ain't tinted.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Have you just uncovered something, mate? Holy shit. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there we go.
So that's how so his scraping together was just theft.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound as
I feel romantic. Like this is an expose.
Yeah. You heard it from here first, guys. You know, it did take him a bit, but he did get there. He did get there.
He scraped that measly $4,500 a month
Jesus
from his mother's debit card.
That just sounds so like suburban middle class. It hurts. It just hurts. Like, I just stole my mom's car.
Yeah,
to get, like,
she didn't know. She didn't realize.
Yeah. Fucking hell. Oh my gosh. Oh, Drake, man. Oh, Drake. There's just when you just want to praise him with it. Fucking hell. Actually, let's tap on The Ride, because I think The Ride is actually a better song. I think it's an amazing way to close out this album as well, to be fair. There was one line that was so catchy. It was like, instead of giving the pat down, they just keep saying that they feel you. I was like, oh, that is a good line. I cannot lie. That's probably one of the best lines Drake's had. Yeah, he just had like even the beat, and obviously like the Weeknd crooning in the background.
I think that's the Weeknd's best outing on this album, possibly.
Yes, 100%. Like, the song just works, man. Like, and him just kind of like, I guess kind of just like doing a quick review of his life. I spent however this weekend, I feel amazing. My junior and senior will only get meaner and all that stuff. Yeah, it comes with a lot of confidence on this beat. Good beat as well. I know a lot of people did covers on this. Meek Mill being notable. I think he did on one of the Dream Chasers. Yeah, no, good beat. Rapping really strongly. He also had that little bit where there was like a long pause. And you thought, was he going to come for a third verse? And then he does. And yeah, no, I like the song. I like the song a lot. I think it's a really good closer. Really good closer. Yeah.
But yeah, let's get I mean, I completely agree. I think though, yeah, again, it works. It's a similar vibe again to what was the earlier song that they're both on that we said we didn't enjoy?
True Love? Oh no.
Yes. Yes, there's a kind of similar obviously sound, because it's the Weeknd again, but I think this song works so much more.
Yes.
I think the Weeknd, it being a bit slowed down, it's just the classic like ghostly Weeknd vocals.
Yeah. I do like True Love, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True Love's good. I think this works better though.
Yeah, it does work better. I agree.
Because it's not just a fully
Weeknd
song. Yeah. But let's get to Underground Kings. Maybe, who knows, this might be the last one we talk about. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Ninth Wonder production, obviously. There's a nice little there's like a guitar riff in there somewhere, I think. So yeah, like sounds great.
Is it ninth or T minus?
I think it's a Ninth Wonder.
I think it's T minus, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought Ninth Wonder produced this.
Yeah, I think it's T minus and 40.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, nice production from T minus then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I just think it's a good one. There are Weeknd vocals on this one as well?
No. There's a sample.
It sounds like it. The sample sounds like it.
Yeah, but no, there's no Weeknd.
It sounds like
no, there's no.
It's not, but that you know, I was saying like there's a guitar riff in it. It sounds something like if people know from the House of Balloons mixtape, there's a Weeknd song that samples Sushi and the Banshees. People know, very like good band. Just go check them out anyway. And it sounds a little bit like that sample, which is probably what I'm thinking. Happy House, that's it.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll check that out. But yeah, no. Gritty, probably one of the most grittiest songs on the album. Feels very rugged. The side about it's very aggressive. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, good rapping again from this one. I can't even lie. He had a line where he's like, lessons I was taught were quick to fade. Soon as I realized that turning papers in won't get me paid. I was like, oh, like he just I don't know. I don't know where this Drake has gone, man. Like he had a good way of rapping. Like I think he has a nice rapping voice, Drake. He does. He does have a nice rapping voice. But yeah, I think it feels like sometimes he comes on the mic, he doesn't know what to say, but then sometimes he comes on the mic and he feels like he knows exactly what he wants to say. He feels like he knows, you know what I mean? He feels like he has a whole song mapped on his head. And I mean, like, Take Care is an amalgamation of that. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, this song, like, Yeah, man, this song is so good. This is probably one of the few songs I do go
a
back
bit
to
of a
often.
bit of a rocky start. He starts by saying, "Was it Bridge over troubled water, ice in my muddy water, rich off a mixtape, got rich off a mixtape."
I mean, he's not lying though. He did get a rich off a mixtape. Did I get it? But he did. It's true.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, sure, we'll give him that. But yeah, no, I agree. I think grittier than a lot of the tracks in there for sure. Which is why I think there's definitely variation. Like I said at the beginning, there's a good variation of sound. You've got every type of Drake on here. You've got the certified lover boy Drake in the real sense, not in the album sense. And then you've got the kind of like the good balance of hip hop and like rapper, singer rapper. Then you've got just full on Drake rapping on Underground Kings. You've got I think it's a very good album. It's a very good album. There are a lot of misses, which
there are.
Why we started by naming about 6 or 7.
I mean, it's a long as fuck album though. At the same time,
it is. How long is it? Is it 60?
Longer than that.
What is it? The deluxe version is 83 minutes.
Okay, yeah. If you just take away the motto, it's got to be still an hour 20. Still a long as fuck album. Yeah. So longer album. Very long.
But as we always say, you can't judge it on what it could have been.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I think what you get here, do you know what it is? I think the problem is people, and this is why, of course, we kind of transition to the age-old question: is it a classic? Which I hate, to be honest. Now, I'm starting to grow to hate it. Now looking back, I feel like the conversation shouldn't be yes or no. It should be like, if what constitutes it making a classic, what doesn't, and maybe you just kind of, get to some sort of discussion, not yes or no. But I think the reason why I think people would call this a classic is because this was Drake's second album.
Yeah.
So you kind of feel like, oh, I like what's going on here. I think he can progress from here. I think if this was Drake's final album, lots of people wouldn't like it. So I think that's the kind of the context people have with this album, because obviously most people heard this album when it came out. So obviously you look at Thank Me Later to Take Care, you're like, oh my gosh, what a big jump. It's kind of like when Cardi B came out with her debut. It's like, wow, I wasn't expecting this. I'm not saying it's amazing, but I wasn't expecting this. This is pretty good. And because of that, I think you kind of rate it more than it is because you're expecting less than what you got. This one is like, okay, you are on your second album. I'm not expecting you to be this realized person, but you are really on your way. And I think people just thought it was going to keep going, and nothing was the same. Arguably was a continuation of that, but it just felt it's weird because now you look at the discography, you would have thought by now, 10 years later, you would have something that supersedes this. And he does, which is fair, but you wouldn't think this would be the go-to formula that he would hit again and again and again. You would have thought it would be something else. And I think that's the problem people have with further evolutions of Take Care in Views, 100%, Scorpion, Certified Lover Boy. Do you know what I mean? I think that's why people have issues with Certified Records. What do you think? Like, do you think it kind of
I think that's well put, yeah.
No, what do you think? Do you think it constitutes for like a classic status?
I think I'm sure we had an episode with me what makes a classic.
Yeah.
So to kind of summarize what I think I said on that was, they've got to be very like little to no skips, which I think it suffers from a bit here. So given that we've said probably 6 songs, maybe that's 1 in 3,
more than that, maybe
7. That's that's like a good 30%, 35% of the album, which is rough.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it suffers from being a bit bloated. I think it's some of the songs that don't work too well. I think maybe some of them never work too well, and a couple of them have aged badly as well.
Yeah.
so that's another category. How does it age? Because some songs can originally be amazing. 5 songs later, you listen back and you go, oh, you kind of cringe a bit, and you're like, not so good anymore. But it definitely has it in terms of it ticks the box of like his influence and stuff. Because I think over those next years, you definitely see the resurgence of that type of music, of the blend of R&B and hip hop, that kind of whole genre of indie R&B R&B, alternative R&B, whatever you want to call it. And that definitely came from, I'd say, The Weeknd and Drake, not just The Weeknd. Not
So
just
you're saying Drake ruined hip hop for the next?
So, I didn't say that, but it's a nice summary. Yeah.
Trying to bait you there. Fair enough. Cool. I think that's it. Obviously, not much more to say about this album. I mean, it's Take Care.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much most people probably listen to this fucking show haven't listened to Take Care. So what's the point of this fucking episode, anyways? But anyway,
Thanks for listening, getting this far.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. I have a weird tendency to just cuck the podcast for whatever reason. Like, it is a good thing, but I
don't know why you're doing that.
Yeah, it's just a piece of shit, isn't it? Like, I don't know. Like, everyone else Take Care, but no, I'm joking. Yeah, what do you think about Take Care? Like, you know, is it something that's aged well? Obviously, I know some of our conglomerates, should we say, don't have not much nice things to say. Some of them think it's amazing. Some of them think, oh, actually, it's aged quite poorly. What do you think? Yeah, do you agree with some of the stuff he said? Do you have any questions? Send them to vinylcollectivepod@gmail.com. Before John goes back into the ether, where he's in 2 different places at the same time, we're gonna round up the show with our coveted Now and Then playlist. We have a second playlist now to enter our second year of doing this podcast, which is still weird to say. So we add a song that's pretty new, and we add a song that's a bit of a throwback. Yeah, don't know what to say. You can go first in this one.
Okay. So my Now song is called Boys Will Be Boys by Cass is Dead.
Okay, you got me there, because I was thinking, is it the Dua Lipa one? I was like, that's a bit of a weird choice for you. Like, what the hell? Okay.
Cass is Dead. Yeah, back after I think a bit of a three-year gap making music.
Yeah,
I highly rate this guy. Excuse me, and I think people should go check him out for sure. But yeah, Boys Will Be Boys. Great return to making music. And then my then song is Two Seater by Tyler the Creator from Cherry Bomb. Great lot of transitions. Quite a long song, but yeah, if you like all of the transitions and kind of the way that the music that each song evolves on Call Me If You Get Lost, then go back to his earlier stuff. It's all there.
Okay, cool. My Now song will be Silver Lines by IMDDB. Go and check her out. Okay. Good eyes. Yeah. I got the range. What will be my end song? Like I said, this is always harder. I don't know why.
It's because it's 30 plus years.
Actually, I would say, oh no, wait. No, I think Ishmael must have put this one on before, so I can't put that one on. I'm in like a Thundercat Terrence Martin vibe, because the album came out recently. So I will say, I'll say Walk On By. I'll say it's nice and simple. Thundercat featuring Kendrick Lamar.
Love it. Cool. Solid. Right. Well, yeah, as Top has said, you can find all of these songs on our playlist, Now and Then 2. Don't forget to follow Now and Then, the original as well, for over 200 songs of just pure magic.
Good playlist, to be fair. I'm not just saying that as a...
I'm not either. Yeah. It's,
a lot of people have come to me like, it's a pretty good playlist, to be fair.
It's a great mix. And shout out to all our guests as well who've augmented the selection of songs that we've got on there. It's very diverse, and I'm sure this. Yeah,
if you ever go on a long drive, because that's when I use it the most. If you ever go on a long drive, it actually works like remarkably well, because it's like, because mostly people like to put their favorite songs in there, so it actually ends up like being like a list of diverse hits. Actually, actually is kind of interesting to kind of like.
It's funny how we did that. Amazing. Yeah. Anyway, that's us. And thanks for tuning in again for another episode of the Vinyl Collective.
See you guys.
We'll see you next week.